Okay, this is where your character animation adventure starts. Two-leg walk cycles. Eventually, we'll end up doing some four-legged ones. But for the next couple hours, or possibly more, this is what we'll be dealing with. And this is going to be one of our longer format tutorials. So it's multi-parts, multi-hours. And if there's a part 4 that will be needed, it could be included down here later. But for right now, I just foresee maybe 3 parts. So let's go ahead and dive into this one. What I hope to get through here will be animating a fat guy and a thin guy. So for both of those, we have a start file. All right, and in the end, our finished product will be right here and here. But throughout, what I want to do is save some progress files. So when we do something kind of notable, like if we animate all the legs in a sequence, we will put them in there, save it, and then move on, and maybe then the next thing will be the hands. It just gives us kind of a reference point for the tutorial itself, but also just going through and seeing your progress. And you might even find that you enjoyed one of the earlier versions more than your finished one. You can kind of step back and you know, move on from there, whatever. So it's just a good way of working through things. And what else do we got to talk about? Well, this is of course the movie you're watching. And let's go ahead and open up, let's just start with a fat guy. Alright, so pop this open. And what I want you to do is, of course, get it open on your end, and then just save it as progress 1. And again, I'm going to throw it down into this folder right here. Okay, so do that on your end and get that open. Alright, close this out. So this isn't a drawing tutorial, but there is going to be drawing involved. It's just the nature of animation. So we are going to start with what I've got right here, and don't feel like you're getting left out of anything, because we're going to be drawing some simple shapes soon enough, and you will, in doing so, you'll figure out, oh yeah, that's how I made the other stuff on here. And I guess, you know what, we might even be a whole 20 minutes away from actually animating this guy, because there's a lot of kind of just foundational stuff that we need to talk about. And I promise not every single character we animate is going to have such a long introduction, but just this one probably will. And this is just a good general place to start with character animation, because these little walk cycles or run cycles are maybe only about 12 to 15 frames long. Of course, they end up looping infinitely, but that's you know, not that much animation to go through, 12, 15 frames worth, and you get a nice little finished thing in the end, versus some longer format things where, you know, the animation takes like a minute or so. So again, this is just a nice place to start with, and in starting here, we will talk about a lot of the basics involved. But what do we got right here? Well, what we're starting with is a ground plane and all this artwork that has already been made into a symbol. And what we're going to do mostly in this beginning part is just talking about why we have symbols, why we make them into, why we make artwork into symbols and whatnot. But let's do this. Let's go ahead and create the rest of this guy. Okay, so for about 5 minutes we'll just be doing some drawing. And let's begin by inserting a new layer on top of everything else. So whatever I draw onto this layer will visually be on top of this stuff right here. We can call this layer front leg. Okay, and what I'm going to do is grab a square. I'm going to make the stroke of this be dark black, like the exterior stroke on all these other lines out here, or shapes I should say. And as for the inside color, I'm just going to make it the same dark green. You can hold down on this and you can sample out a color that's already on stage, but this is an easy one to find. It's just this swatch right here. And in the properties window, which you probably have open by default, but if you don't, it is this right here. Just go to properties. I'm going to make the stroke, I think about 1.5 is what I had these other ones at. So I'm going to adjust that. And let's do this. Just to make sure that nobody is drawing on any of these other layers, just go ahead and lock them up and click right there. One new little thing in Flash 8 that can throw some of you off would be if you have this object drawing. Actually, let's see, where is that? There it is. If you have object drawing turned on, what that'll do is that'll make it seem like you draw something and it turns into a symbol right away because it has this blue box around it. So what I want you guys to make sure is that that is not turned on, and you'll know because Watch me create a square out here. Actually, it's a little bit better with the circle. Watch me create a circle. Okay. Notice there's no box around it right afterwards, but if you had object drawing turned on and you created a circle, oh, look at that. It looks just like a symbol, which we'll do later on, but you don't want that. Okay, so make sure that is turned off. All right. Now that that's out of the way, that's only something that's going to affect you Flash 8 people. Alright, so let's go and put a square right on top of here. We're going to do it right over there. And about on down to our... about there is probably fine. Okay, and I'm going to turn this snap to objects off. If you have it turned on, you might want to turn it off as well. It can sometimes get in the way when you're drawing. Sometimes it can be a big advantage. And what I'm doing right now is just magnifying things. I got the magnifying tool right here. Just going to zoom in. You can also numerically punch in a magnification. And with the black arrow over here, what we're going to do is reshape this square, something most of you are already very familiar with these drawing tutorials and whatnot, but if you aren't, well, here we go. Once again, do this with the black arrow. Hover over to the corner of this square and just click drag this out over to, let's say, maybe about right over here. Take this other corner, move it right over to there, and about right there. This corner, we're just going to line it right up with the bottom part of this guy's body, and this corner can probably just come up just a tad bit. This line right here, we are going to select it, okay? So it's the line merging those two corners right there. I'm just going to delete it. Oh, look how that blends in now, nice and smooth. Okay, now when I roll over this line right here, you'll notice that next to the cursor, it just gives me that little arc right there. That just means that if I were to click drag on this, it would bend it. Alright, see how that's working? We want to do the same thing over this way, okay? And here's where we get tricky. If you were on the PC, hold down the Control key. If you were on the Mac, hold down the Option key. And so get those held down and then click drag out, and what you will do is you will create a fifth point to this shape, alright? And we'll do one more down here, alright? And I think now is a good time to just zoom in even further onto this thing. Alright. And just curve this one out. And I know it's kind of hard to see that, but I am getting that little arc next to the mouse to curve it. Do that. Put a little bit of a curve out this way. And then for this back part of the heel, oops, just right like so. Okay. And that is exactly how I've created almost all these other shapes on the stage, just starting with usually a square and just bending it out, and we get some nice clean shapes like that. Alright, so let's do this. You know, I think I might actually want to make this entire shape just a little bit, just squashed a little bit more upwards, okay? If I were to look at, I'm using this ground plane right here as this kind of eventually he's going to be walking on top of that thing, and I don't want to make it seem like this guy is touching the ground plane just yet. I'm going to have him start off in a pretty extreme pose where one leg is as far out as it can be on one side and the other one is as far back as it can be on the other side. So I just want to go and grab the free transform tool up here, and I'm just going to squish it a little bit up that way. I could even just use the arrow tools on the keyboard and just nudge it up that way a little bit. If you do that, just make sure that you just line this one back up down that way. Alright. And by the way, if you did want to change the line width on this whole shape, you could just double click right here in the middle, just on the fill, and that will select all the lines around it. I think actually I want to take this up to 2. There we go, just a little bit thicker. Alright, so that is one leg. Now, it is still an vector artwork form where, you know, if you were just on the main timeline, you can still just move it, bend the shapes around like that. What we want to do is encapsulate all this artwork inside of a symbol. So, go ahead and make sure it's all selected. You could double click on here, or you could just go up here to the timeline and just select this one frame, and that will select everything that is currently on that layer. We know we only have that leg there, so it's an easy way to select things. And we're going to go to convert to symbol. Hotkey for that is F8, which we'll inevitably start using later on, but we'll call this fat guy leg we'll call this leg front 1. Putting that numeral in there is going to be key later on. We'll talk about that in a little bit, so you just go ahead and put 1 in there. And now I have myself a symbol. You'll notice that if I were just to go back here to this black arrow and select it, see that blue bounding box around it? That was that thing I was telling you about before. That's the tough thing about that object drawing, is it makes it seem like it's a symbol, but it's really not. And what's it mean to be a symbol? Well, it's again, it's a container for this vector artwork. This is what we want to animate later. We want to be animating symbols, and also, cool thing about it is it's in the library for us. And so if I were to pull this over here, and you could see now that it's easily accessible at any time. We can just open up the library and throw another one on stage like that. It's just kind of like a nice place to put artwork that we want to reuse later on. But actually, I want to say more importantly, it's a good animation tool, and here is why. Let's say, and you don't have to follow along with me right here. Just kind of watch for a little bit, because I'm just going to open up a new document, just do some crazy example things. But let me go and just grab all the body shapes right now. So I'm going to unlock this layer. Okay. I'm going to get a new. Again, you don't need to do this. Just watch me go through it. All right. I'm going to paste these on here. And again, these are all symbols. But what I'm going to do is just for this demo is just break them all apart. Okay, so they're no longer symbols. It's just back to being vector artwork again. And I'm going to put a bunch of keyframes on the timeline here. And to do that, you could just right-click, insert keyframe, or the easy way to do it is to hit F6. And so I'm just going to put a bunch of keyframes on here. I'm going to go through some of them and just move them up, down, go throughout here. All right, and this is exactly what you don't want to do, by the way. That's where this demo begins. Showing you what you don't want to do, because even though I've got this guy moving along throughout these frames, everything's good, it's happy, I've got him moving exactly how I want. But let's suppose I'm working at a studio and my boss comes by and he says, "Oh, you know what? We've changed these character sheets. This guy is no longer going to be so pale. He's going to be a bit darker. So you got to go and make him darker." All right. Well. Okay, I'm going to go through here, I'm going to grab my paint bucket, I'm going to select this color. Now I got to go through every single one of these keyframes, make that change. Okay, well, I can kind of deal with that. Right now it's only 6 frames, it's not that much of a problem. But then my boss comes back, he says, "Oh yeah, another thing, we want this eye not to look so cross and unhappy." Well, then I got an even larger problem, because not only is it just a paint problem I got to deal with, I have to go and zoom in here and then go through and manipulate this eye on every single frame. Well, wait a minute. Oh no, look at this. I mean, I'd have to go and make this perfect and match up like this on every single frame. Well, that is a huge pain. Okay, and even right now it's only 6 frames. But imagine if you'd animated something over like an entire minute. That could get into 500 frames like that you'd have to go through. Okay, well, now you're seeing why we don't want to animate any of this vector art, okay? Because it's not easily changeable after the fact. Versus, let's delete this off of here. Wait, first make a new layer and then just delete this one. If I were to animate these symbols, okay, so I'm going to do the same thing, put them on here, and then just hit F6 a bunch of times, move them up and down, make slight changes to them, better placement. Now my boss comes along and says, "Yeah, all right, color changes." Okay, that's easy. I'm just going to double click inside of this symbol. All right, I'm going to grab the paint bucket tool, click right down there, go back up here to scene 1, and now, oh, look at that. He's changed all throughout there. All the head symbols have now changed. Of course, I'd have to go and change the nose as well, but that's okay. Oops, there we go. All right, done. That's looking good. Now, if my boss said, "Yeah, about the eye, that's an issue too. We won't want him to look so unhappy." What I could do here is, you got a couple choices, but probably what I'd end up doing is just double clicking inside of here and just selecting what is inside of this symbol and just deleting it. All right, you do end up having kind of an empty symbol on stage, but that's all right. It'll when you publish it, you won't be able to see that at all. So there you go. All right, so that's the main advantage of having symbols like that. Another cool thing, which we'll end up doing a little bit later on, but I'll go ahead and show you right now, is check this out. This guy's bouncing along here, and maybe at this frame, what we want to do is show that his body changes slightly. Well, I will go and select one of those symbols and just go over here to duplicate symbol. Alright, now I know that sounds a lot like I'm just copying and pasting it. Nope, not at all. Okay, because what this is going to do, I'm going to hit duplicate symbol. I get this dialog box up here telling me to give it a new name. Alright, so we're going to call this Fat Guy Body 2. We can click OK, and if you're to look at the library over here, I now have two exact copies of this one symbol, but I can now change this one independently from that one over there. Okay, so if I were to double click in on this, all right, Fat Guy Body 2, change this, move up this line a little bit. All right, you can see it happening in the library as well. Now you'll notice that as we scrub through this, boom, boom, boom. Let's see, where is that? There's that one that's changed. All right, and suppose over here at this frame now, I wanted it to switch out this body for that other one. All I'd have to do is go to swap symbol, go over here, and then just click on Fat Guy Body 2, click, can't see that, click OK, boom, and it switched out. Now that is a lot easier than if I were to go over here to frame 1 and go, alright, I gotta switch out this body, well, I'm gonna delete this one, hit backspace, then I'm gonna go get the library open, I'm gonna move this over here, and then I gotta, now I gotta position this behind the other thing. I'd have to go to arrange, send it back, then I'd have to go and make sure it's in the same exact place. So I'd have to go compare it to that one. Oh no, that doesn't look right. Alright, so that's the nice thing about that swap symbol, is it just takes the exact same symbol that it was, swaps it out for the other one, and hopefully they are sized up kind of correctly, and that all gets into part of the setup later on. But anyway, let's go back to the task at hand. I think we've learned enough from Untitled 3. And let's finish out drawing this guy's other leg. And again, like I was saying before, these are going to be our, this is going to be one of our extreme poses. Okay, so let's put a leg pretty far back this way. All right, and what we should do is create a new layer between the ground plane and this guy's, most of his other symbols. All right, so this is just going to be back leg. So visually this will be on top of the ground plane but below all the other things. By the way, it's a good idea to lock these other ones up. You could even view them as wireframe if you wanted. It might be easier to draw like that, okay? Because you can kind of see through things. Get your x-ray vision. And I'm going to move through here a little bit quicker when I start to draw these. If you have any problem with that, keeping up, I would say go back and rewind the video to the part where we talked really slowly about drawing. It's hard to make an animation tutorial that doesn't get into drawing. It's easy to make a drawing tutorial though that doesn't get into animation. But I do want the focus here to be mostly about animating. Alright, and I don't need this part, even though it's out of view. I'm just going to delete it anyway. And let's make these not wireframe. Let's see how this looked. Alright, probably pretty good. So I'm going to select this everything on this one layer. I'm going to go to convert to symbol. We'll call this back leg 1, again putting in that number 1 right there. Alright, now we are almost done setting this guy up for animation, but there's one more key element that we have to do, and this gets into the pivot points of all of these symbols right here. You'll notice this little white dot right in the middle of this symbol. Well, when I created it, the registration or the pivot point of this was aligned right into the middle of it. I can change that after the fact. That's an easy thing to do. Okay, just go over here to your free transform tool, click on it, and you'll notice, just to demonstrate, that if I were to rotate this, okay, it's rotating around that dot. See how that's happening? Imagine that was the center of a clock and these are the hands around it, the rest of this artwork. Just moving around there. I'm going to undo that. But if I were to take this white dot and just click, drag, and move it up here, you'll notice now when I rotate it, it's rotating around that point. So that's the pivot point on that thing. Let's undo everything I've done, except for, let's put that back up there. Alright, so it just makes sense for this leg to rotate around there. Alright, and let's go ahead and do that for anything else on here that we think might move. And you know what though, the legs during this animation, probably we're not going to just be rotating them like this between frames. We're probably going to be creating new legs each time. But for things like this arm right here, this is a great one because it's not going to change that much. Alright, so we're just going to subtly swing it back and forth like that as it goes through. As for the head, right now we have a head that says, you can see that it doesn't have the eyes on it or the nose. I think what is going to be a good thing to do, at least for setting up this animation, maybe not other ones, is to select the head, the nose, and the eyes together like that. Hold down the shift key to multi-select something, and we'll make them all into one big symbol, and we'll adjust the pivot point on that. Alright, so we're going to go to convert to symbol. Call this head hole. Alright, so that's all of his head stuff. By default, if a symbol is sharing layer space with other symbols and you convert it to a new symbol, it's going to pop up visually above everything else. So what you're going to want to do at that point is just go to arrange, send backward. You might have to send it backward again, and then it'll go behind this hat right here. Okay, so again, let's go to the free transform tool. That is the Q hotkey. So I'll probably be using that quite a bit throughout to save time. And I'm just moving that right around. Let's say maybe about here. This head isn't going to move too much, so if you can just kind of check the ranges on it by moving it around, just seeing if that is a good pivot point. Okay. As for the hat, why didn't I put it in with the head? I think it'd just be kind of good in this animation to have this thing moving separately. So let's put the hat's pivot point about right there, and that way we can just kind of make it go up and down like that. All right. So that's ready to go. The arm, the body. I think for this animation, we're not going to be doing too much rotation on the body. I guess if we do rotate it at all, though, it would rotate around here. All right. Certainly not around by the head. Okay, I think that'll be true for all of our animations, that it's going to be rotating more down here. Alright, but I think throughout this, probably just going to be moving this body up and down like that. But we'll go ahead and set it up down that way. It's not going to hurt us. And I think we are about ready to begin the animation, aside from, let's take this one arm off of here. Okay, I'm going to cut it off. By the way, your copy and paste, your cut hotkeys are always going to be the same throughout all your programs generally. Same thing with Flash, but one good hotkey to learn, and let me first create a new layer up this way, is the good old paste in place. Because when you cut something off the stage, it's usually a good idea to just throw it right back where you cut it off from, at least certainly in this case with animation. Okay. And let's change this layer to be front arm. Alright. Now, we are ready to begin. I think when you guys are doing these little practice sessions for animating stuff, it's, again, if it is just a practice session, get into kind of the mood of the animation, even though if you're not creating something that is being put into a larger animation, it's a good idea to just kind of think, okay, well, is this a character that is mad? Is he upset about something? Has his girlfriend just broken up with him? Is he stomping through a hallway or something like that? Okay, and you could even go as far as like kind of writing down adjectives on a piece of paper that you would kind of like to see conveyed during the animation. Okay, and then as you go through, you can go, well, do I want to continue making him angry or stomping throughout, or am I conveying that enough, or whatever? But it's a good idea to have something in mind. I kind of I think of this similar to when I'm drawing something. If it is a if a guy that's smiling and I'm drawing him, I find myself smiling. If he's frowning, I find myself making a frowning face. So even though you're probably not going to be walking and stomping around while you're animating this thing, it's not a bad idea to kind of get in that mindset. So without much further ado, let's go and save the file first off, and then let's go and make some more keyframes out this way. Go ahead and let's do this. Just select right here, just drag down on all these layers and go to insert frame. And in fact, you know what, let's go ahead and insert enough frames on the timeline for probably the entire length of the animation. Alright, so go to insert frame. And then what we're going to be doing is just keyframing only the ones that we need to keyframe. My logo, obviously we don't need to, and the ground plane, we don't need to keyframe that. Okay, so from here on, we're just going to be putting keyframes on these 4 layers. And while you got them selected, you could hit F6, or you could go over here the slowest way possible and hit insert keyframe. Alright, now we'll talk about where this guy is headed. This leg is up in the air, right ready to land onto the ground. Alright, and this leg is right about at the point to come off the ground, up back this way, and then forward again. Alright, so when that happens, we'll lift that leg off of there. But this guy is at probably his highest point right now. Okay, so when we send this leg down to the ground, we're also going to send this guy's entire body down with it. Alright, and I think that's a good place to start, is to just take everything up here, and actually if you hold down the shift key and you hold down one of the directional arrows, the down one, he'll move down about 8 pixels. And there he goes. He's down that way. And then let's make this leg follow with it. So we're just going to send this down. And what I'm going to try to use actually is on this shape, the bottommost line right here is probably where I'm going to try to keep the heel of this front leg, and then on the top part of this this shape will probably be about where I try to keep the heel of that leg. All right, just as our guide layer. But obviously we need to change the appearance of this leg around. But I do want to mention one other thing, just in terms about this guy moving up and down. He'll do that twice throughout this walk cycle. Okay, because each one of these legs is going to start in the front and then move toward the back and then come back forward again. Alright, and each time one of these legs ends up in this most extreme front position like this, he's going to be at his highest point like that. Okay, and then the next thing will be he'll end up back down again. Alright, so to keep that in mind, it's one of those big things to note. And actually, you can have situations where you have like a kind of a double bounce character where he's got, like 2 springs up and down. But I think for the most part, at least for the first couple things that we're going to be doing, our characters are just going to be just rising and falling with that one big step in the front. Okay, so let's do this. So let's break apart this symbol. Boom, it's broken apart. We can probably use the artwork that we have already created on this leg to just change it for this first pose right here. So let's go and do that. I'm just going to take this point, and that's going to look a little funky, but just move this line down with it. Alright. And let's do this. Let's move this like so. In fact, I might even take this whole thing and just move it just a bit back that way. And I guess I haven't mentioned this yet, but it's about time I did. This guy's not going to be his whole body's not ever going to be moving forward. Okay, what we're going to be eventually doing is just making all this animation happen with this guy standing in place, right where he is, right here. We're going to take all the frames that we end up creating, putting them into one giant movie clip, which will just infinitely loop, and then we can put that on top of a background that is just also kind of looping, and you'll see that we create the illusion of this guy walking forward. But anyway, let's continue. Zooming back in a little bit over this way. Alright, so let's see. I'm going to grab this other line right here and just put something like that. Alright. The greater than or less than keys on the keyboard, or the period and the comma key, will scrub you through your timeline, either back one frame or forward one frame. So it's a good thing to just kind of get your fingers used to checking these guys, because here we go at frame 1, then we're boom coming down on frame 2 like that. And you can see that how that looks. I would say that you can, if you want, go ahead and make this into a symbol right now. Because we're going to be keyframing these all later on, I think what we could do is hold off on that for a little bit, because the next time we put a keyframe here, we'll also probably just be manipulating the artwork. So it's something you could do now or later. Eventually, I think it's, again, you do want to put those things into symbols, but we can do it a little bit later. All right, so this back leg, let's also go over here and break this one apart. Zoom in a bit. And sometimes you can get away with just manipulating the artwork that you had there before. Other times you're almost at a disadvantage just trying to muscle around some previous stuff that you created. It might just help you to go ahead and make the whole thing over again. But these legs that we're creating, they're pretty simple shapes. So what I'm trying to do here is make it look like the heel is coming up. Okay. I'm going to curve that down a bit that way. And I might have to create another point in here. Let's see. Put that up, and I'm going to create another point right here. I know it's kind of hard to see, but there we go. This might have been one of those times when it would have just been a little bit better to just create a new shape. But all right, so we got that, and let's see how this is looking. All right, now this is kind of a problem. It feels like, actually, it feels like it from the beginning. This one leg is a little bit too long. Look at the compare this foot to that foot. So I think this would be a good point to let's just squish this one a little bit forward. Alright, so, okay. That should be good enough. Alright. Now, I think what we'll do is worry about the arms later on, maybe in progress 2 of this. Let's get through the legs. Okay, so let's go and just hit F6 right here. And let's go ahead and actually lift off this leg off the ground. But you know what, first I should say we should actually let's worry about the body. This guy is just made one big movement downward like that. Alright, and he's gonna start going back upward again, but let's put a little bit more motion going down. This time just maybe a couple nudges with the directional arrows. Okay, before we nudged him down maybe about 8 times worth with that arrow. This time I'm just going to hit down on it twice, and you'll see if you were just to keep your focus on the body going from this frame to this frame, then to this one, just subtly moving down a little bit that way. Alright, so yeah, now let's make this leg lift off. Here we could probably just get away with just curving it and just doing something like this. Maybe even, let's see. The viewer was able to see through this leg, it probably wouldn't look too pretty, but that's alright. They're not seeing through it. And as for this leg right here, let's go and with the free transform tool, what I'm going to do is just skew it like this. Alright, and let me explain that a little bit better. What I'm doing with the mouse is just putting it right between these 2 handles right here, or it could work also between these 2 handles. Just sending this back like so. Alright. And then what I'm going to do is just put this right here. I take that. Let's move this down. Let me compare this one leg to our other leg poses. Boom, boom. Alright. Sometimes with these, if you throw a line on there like that, you'll end up, if you're not careful, getting a few extra little lines like so. So it might be a good idea to take the snap tool and just snap a bunch of these points together. It's kind of, sometimes you don't even realize that you have a bunch of points that are kind of not really intersecting, but a little bit too close to each other. Okay, so let's see. Let's look how this is going. All right, let's move this whole leg back just a bit this way. Leave that out. Zoom out some. Okay, so bump. I think probably this one is going a little bit too far back on that one move. Okay, probably good. Let's go ahead and put some more keyframes on here. So we're going to hit F6, and let's go ahead and first adjust the body. And here's where we got to decide. Are we going to keep him going further downward or back up again? I think now is when we start to send him going back upward. All right, so I'm just going to nudge him up a couple more, and then let's do this. Let's get this leg out this way to the middle. Zoom in. I'm going to make this front arm invisible just so I kind of make this look nice and pretty. Make sure it's looking good. Bend that a little bit. And as for this big chunk of a leg back over here, let's do this. Let's just go ahead and delete it off for right now. Let's see if there's another leg we might be able to use to put back there. In fact, you know what? Let's grab this nice looking front leg. I'm going to copy that. Go back over here to this frame, and then I'm just going to paste this right back here, but let's see. Might not even be seeing that leg at that point, much more than something like this. Let's see. Okay, that'll probably work. Alright, let's view how it's coming. Alright, probably good enough. Let's go ahead and put a few more keyframes out here. Hit F6 again. And let's go and take this one leg. Oh, and you know what? I keep forgetting to do that. Gotta move the body first. Let's nudge him up a bit more. I guess I haven't been moving the arm at all. You know what? Let's make the arm invisible. We'll just we might probably end up just deleting those keyframes later on and doing, I don't know, we'll figure it out when we come to it. I would say generally it's not a good idea to wait till afterwards to do the arm like that, but I thought for this one first lesson maybe what we could do is just work on the legs and or focus on them first and then do the other stuff later, but we'll see if that ended up being a good idea or not. Alright, this leg, let's get it coming back out a little bit over here. Let's see. Yeah, that's believable. Let's do this. Let's adjust this one I created a second ago. Okay. It's probably pretty good. And let me just make this one little part a bit smaller like that. Alright. Hey, you know what? We are on our 6th frame, so we're about halfway done. Let's go and just put more keyframes up this way. And take the body. Let's move them up a bit more. Let me compare this this state right here to where it was in the first frame. So in my first frame it was still a bit higher up. That's good. That's about what we want. Okay. Maybe we can come up a little bit more. And as for this leg, let's keep moving him back. I guess we are getting to the other extreme on here, aren't we? Alright. And as for this leg, let's just rotate it a bit more. Get it forward about here. It might be a good, it'll be a good idea to compare the position of this this back leg coming out to where we had the front one in its extreme pose. Let's go ahead and look at that. All right, that's about right. Okay. And where was the back leg back? Okay, I think that's should do pretty good. Let's zoom out a little bit and just thumb through them. Bump, bump, bump. All right, good stuff. Okay, so this guy is ready to fall back down, I guess. Although let's see, we could throw in maybe one more frame. Let's do that. Let's do one more frame of him almost ready to slam back down onto the ground like that. A little bit of anticipation right at this extreme point. Okay, so I'm gonna hit F6 one more time right here. This one leg, we don't need to change much. I'm just going to skew it back that way. And as for this one, this is going decent like that. Oop. I do want to raise the body up just a little bit. I find I do this a lot though when I animate. I'll run through all the main frames of it, and then I will kind of look at it later on and go, okay, you know what? I think I do want a little bit more anticipation in one or two points, and then that's where I'll go and add another frame in there. And this would typically be one point where he's just right about the, you can feel the weight of this guy ready to come back down. And for a big heavy guy like this, that would be kind of just a smart thing to do, is just have him like, oh, I know this guy's going to hit the ground hard, and then bam, we slam him back down, which is the frame we're at right here. So let's go ahead and hit F6 on this. Again, starting with all the stuff right here, we're just going to slam it down like that. All right. Let's see. Let's take this one leg and can we get away with just using this? Probably. And this leg right here, let's go ahead and just delete this off. Let's see if maybe we can use... I wasn't too happy with this leg to begin with, but we'll see if we can use it again. I'm going to copy it, paste it onto this layer now. Okay, and let's see. Let's first compare it to the leg back there. We can probably work with it. Alright, that's probably good. Let's see. Alright. More keyframes. Okay, now remember, this guy has just descended downwards. Alright, so on this next one, what we're going to do is keep him going down a bit more. Okay, like that. And this leg now is going to end up going back this direction. Alright, so we'll just come back with it like that. You're probably not going to be able to see much of the bend in this leg for a little bit, but you might want to draw that in a second. Alright, now this leg, let's go ahead and delete this all the way off of here. Let's go ahead and start to make this this leg kind of curl up, going back forward. So what we will do is put a square right here. Let's chop off this part. Let's go and put pretty tight curve right over there. Let's put a curve like this. Put a new point out this way. One, let's see, right here. I'm going to put another line right over this way. Oops. This time, though, I'm going to snap it to there. I should have done that before. Alright, let's see how this looks. Start back a little bit, and boom. That could be alright. Maybe something like that. Yeah, I think that's a little bit better. Okay. F6, more keyframes. This guy's body will start to go back up again. So we're going to just nudge him up, maybe hit twice with the directional arrow. And as for this leg, let's see if we can just rotate it a little bit. Let's maybe squash it that way. Probably bend it up like this. I think at about this point the arm would be covering it up a tad bit anyway, but that's alright. Let's move this leg right in the middle. Okay. I'm going to skew it a little bit. You know what? Let's do this. Let me just pull this back out here. I'm just going to hit Control B or Option B for you on the Mac. That is just the hotkey for break apart. And I'm just going to make a better leg. Okay, that's good. Okay, let's watch this. Alright, so he's down. I think this body actually could go down a little bit further here. Let's try that. Okay, there we go. And moving forward again. F6. Let's get the body coming back up. And zoom in a bit more. Alright. That's moving forward. This is, of course, moving back. Let me just check frame 1 over here just to make sure I'm not too, let's see. What I'm going to do is just move this a little bit more toward that way. Just so I have enough space between where this leg is at, or where it's going to be at on this frame, and on this one over here. Let's do this though. Let's go ahead on this one frame. Let's put a little line right there. Oops, I guess I didn't get it. And yet for some reason that did not want to draw on again. Okay, let me zoom in here. Alright, I'm definitely on this layer. Let's see. There it is. Okay. And as for this leg, I think we gotta start with a new shape altogether here. Let's go and pop this on. Let's see. I think the this main part of the leg, where the knee is kind of at. This guy really doesn't have knees, but he's starting to get outstretched a bit for getting his extreme pose back again, which is of course this one where it's all the way out like that. So let's see. Got to get him kind of close to that. It is, of course, always good to check back, make sure you're... There we go. Alright, I think we're going to be okay. And now for this one, let's go ahead and hit F6, the body. Let's move this up. Let's make sure that it's that we haven't moved it up too far. Let's see, how's it? Okay, that's good. Notice that on frame 1, it's still above that. All right, so that's good. This when this looped back over here to frame 1, it'll go up like so. And let's go ahead and just take this leg right here. And what we'll do is cut this off, or just delete it off, and then we will paste in place that leg from frame 1. I'm going to move it forward and just nudge it up like that. All right, so again, putting that little bit of anticipation in there. People are going to feel that that leg is ready to fall downwards. And then let's take this leg right here. I'm going to copy it, and I'm just going to select everything on this layer, delete it off, and then I'm going to paste in place that leg from frame 1. This time, though, just move it over just a tad bit, okay? Because, again, at frame 1, it's going to be back there. All right, so let's see how this is going. And back to frame 1. Boom, back down again. And I feel like, let's see. I feel like at this third frame, we could go heavier with this, with him dropping down, okay? So let's go ahead and just select all these again. Make them go down like this. Let's get this. We're just going to squish it like that. Alright. Boom, boom, boom. How's the arm coming? Okay, it is... it's not going anywhere. Let's do this. Let me get these out. I'm going to clear these off of here for the arm. I'm actually just going to take the entire arm, throw it off here to the side for right now. And what I'm going to do is save this out as progress 2. And what I want you guys to do is to take a look at the SWF, the published file for this progress 1, and that will be in this folder. Let me show you. So it would help tremendously if I actually published this file. 2 ways to get the finished SWF file is to go to Publish, or to just go to Test Movie. Alright, that'll test it out. I don't want you guys to actually see my version on screen because, well, you could, but it's the frame rate on this file is 15 frames per second, and the screen capture frame rate is much lower than that. So it'll just look like I created a really choppy, ugly Frankenstein animation. So what I want you guys to do is to hop over to here, and you will get to see my progress 1 just by opening this up, and you get to see it in the proper frame rate. Alright, so you know what I could actually do right here is just go ahead and copy this and open this up as progress number 2. Okay. Close that out, and we are ready to continue. But I hope, yeah, pause the video, make sure you guys see how my progress 1 came out. I think it came out actually pretty good, better than I thought it was. So let's go ahead and throw those arms on there, or just the one arm. I get to get away with only using one. And so let's get this guy back over to right about here. Actually, my original idea was to have this guy just have his hand in his pocket, which would almost completely eliminate the need for us to do much in terms of this arm swinging back and forth. But all right, so the rule here is if for the same side of the arm and the leg, if this arm is forward, then its same side arm will be backward. All right, so let's go ahead and just we'll put it back like this, and let's see, we could probably even get away with I don't know, maybe even doing some motion tweening on this. Generally, I don't like to do that for walk cycles, but what the heck, we can do it here. What I'm going to do is hit F6 right here, and then I'm just going to take this arm and go like that. This arm doesn't need to swing that far forward though either, because just the This is kind of a stiff upper body character anyway, and if he is kind of walking mad like this, his arms aren't going to, be flailing forward happily, gleefully. They'll probably just be tight by his side. So let's just go ahead and between these two frames right here, just select right in the middle. Go right click, or you could just go down here and go to motion, but if you were to right click, it would just be create motion tween, and you will see, boom, this guy's arm goes forward. And actually, now I'm remembering why it's not that great of an idea to do this, because, well, we can still improvise. Let's just go and put one keyframe right in the middle here. Okay, so hit F6, and this is where you'd want to make the arm go down as well. Ignore that, whatever you just heard. You didn't just hear it. And that actually works. That's probably fine. And as for the rest of these, let's see. Let's just go the other route. Let's just keyframe every frame. Consider that just a demo and something you could do. This is better anyway because we can kind of adjust it a bit too. Just, if like his body's coming down like this, then maybe we throw his shoulder down a bit with it, which would take down the whole arm. Okay. So let's see. Boom, tra-la-la, and boom. Let's make this go forward just a bit. Goes down. This arm will come down a little bit too, but we'll start to swing it back a bit. So it's going to go up some. Swinging back, up even more. You would consider this your secondary animation. I guess the primary being these legs down here propelling us forward, but this is the stuff we can really finesse. And that's actually why I don't like to do these motion tweens in here, because they are. I even can kind of feel it like this is a bit robotic. Just this going from down here back up to here. Let's do this. Let's we can keep these keep this motion on here, but we'll just hit F6 with all of them selected. All right, and that'll put a keyframe on all of these. You can go over here now and just switch tween back to none, and that way what we could do is just adjust it a little bit. Let's see. Move that down some. I'm going to make his arm go really far down on his down positions. So now it's starting to come back up. Let's see. Going forward. Down again. Back this way. Back, back. And let's see. Alright, that's a nice... That's pretty good. And now what we could do is play around with that, duplicating the symbol and then swapping it. Let's do this. At this frame, let's go and duplicate this symbol. Alright, so we're just going to go over here to symbol, duplicate. Actually, you know what, before I do it, let me just bring the library into view, so that way you can really drive it home and see that. When we hit duplicate symbol and we say fat guy arm 2, you will see it magically appear in the library right there. It's a unique instance of it now. So again, when if I were to change this, which I'm about to do by just, let's see, moving this forward, you can see that it's changing in the library, but it's only going to change this one frame because all the other ones still have his fat guy arm. Actually, what we should do is probably call it 1. There we go. Alright. So now let's do this. Let's go and swap this symbol for 2. Alright. You know what? Let's even make it go down a little bit more. So you can see now as his arm comes forward a bit, now his hand comes forward a bit too. We could even maybe make it at his extreme pose over here, maybe just send it forward a bit more. So let's go ahead and duplicate this symbol one more time. Again, this is not a copy and paste deal. We're actually just duplicating this, making a new instance in the library. I always get a lot of emails on that. People say, I don't get it. It's changing every other one on the board. Alright. I think this frame too could benefit from Alright, so that'll probably look pretty good. If you want, publish your copy, see how it's looking. Alright, mine's looking pretty nice. Let's see, what else can we do to make this guy really finessed up here? Let's play around with his hat. It's a pretty easy one. What we'll do is we'll have his hat come off his head just slightly, or at least just bend it or rotate it up somewhat when or down when he hits his big motion right here at the goes down. So let's take the hat and send it down like so. I think the frame before it though, where we get a little anticipation, let's bend it up this way. All right, so it kind of goes from this really being off his head to really being on his head. In fact, we could probably take it down a bit more. And then at this frame, let's have it just rotate a little bit down that way. Okay. So it goes down, then it's slightly coming back up again. Then by this frame, it is all the way back up. And then right here, let's have it go back up again, like so. And yeah, maybe you could even move it up like that. And then boom, back down again. Let's see how that's looking. You know what I could do is I could actually set the frame rate of this animation down to something really slow so we could watch this. Boom, goes down, boom, goes down. And actually, that's kind of a nice pacing for this, even though it's really slow and kind of choppy. It's not a bad pacing for it, and if what we could do, which we won't, but what we could do is leave all these frames in here right now, and then if you were to select, say, everything on frame 1 like that, and then just hit F5, all right, that would insert a frame out that way. We could insert a frame out this way on this one, insert, 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 like so. Of course, we'd want to get it back up to 15 frames per second, and then what you could do is you could add in the more keyframes here, and then just do the in-betweens on all these other poses. Now I say just do that, mean it not like it's a simple thing, because yeah, you would have to go and you'd probably have to add in another 15 positions or so. Although granted, you are just basically using, you probably in most cases you'd be using the symbols you had either one frame before, one frame after, and that's a way of slowing the whole thing down and making it seem really clunky for this guy. But for right now, it's just kind of a faster pace, and I'm just going to undo all this. That would definitely take a long time. Alright, other things you could do. Well, let's say at this extreme pose, we could not only rotate the head up, which we could do right here, but we could also break apart this symbol, okay? And now we're back down to being able to select the eyes and things like that. And what we could do here is just rotate the nose a bit. I'm going to move the pivot point right over here, so you can put that up. All right. Probably not too many people would be able to spot it, but let's see. Move it up even more. And do something similar right down here to break it apart. And then just tilt it down then. So we can go back up. In fact, you might even want to move it down a little bit. Alright. So that's looking pretty good. One other thing we could try to do, let's see, let's create one more layer up this way, and if I were to grab a square and make it the same color as this shirt, I'm going to take the stroke off of it. What might be kind of nice would be to just cut a line right across here, just bend this up a little bit, move this down. Let's see. Maybe even move that down like so. Let me see how this could look. I'm just kind of thinking that I don't like seeing the, let me make it invisible. I don't like seeing this part come all the way up there. I kind of feel like you're almost seeing the, how it's a, I don't know, like a piece just kind of tacked on there. I feel like if we could put a little something on there, it could almost just smooth out that whole thing. Let's see. Like float something over top, I guess is what I'm thinking about here. Let's do that. Let's take this shape right here and convert it to a symbol. We'll call this sleeve patch. And just going to go through here really fast, just put some keyframes on. Let's see how this looks now. This is something that kind of annoys me. Sometimes these symbols stay selected on frames. But yeah, now I feel like that whole arm is kind of blending into the shirt a bit better. In fact, I could come down a little bit more there. Or maybe not, I can't. Let's see. I don't know. Alright. I think on your end, publish it out, or look at my published version, which of course will be, oh, for some reason that's still down at frame rate of 15. There we go. Yeah, take a look at how mine's coming along so you see it in real time. And, you know, I'm going to do the same and then figure out if we need to do anything more to this or just move on. Looks good. Actually, there is one more thing I wanted to do, which is pretty simple. Let's go and adjust the body at a few key places. I think one would be right here. Let's duplicate this symbol. By the way, I have a hotkey for this, which is a great one, which is Option D, or I guess on the PC would be Control D. But you can always set up your own hotkeys in keyboard shortcuts, but I find that's a nice one. So duplicate symbol, and we'll call this Fat Guy Body 2, and then all I'm really going to do is double click inside of here, and I'll zoom in a little bit. Just going to put a line, extra point right here, and then just curve the line of the pants like that. So that way when this leg starts coming forward, I'm going to do it right here. I'm going to swap in that symbol. Another great hotkey is a setup one for swap symbol. Mine is Option G, and then you can see that. So as this comes forward, let's do it one more time here. In fact, right here, what we could also do is kind of have the opposite thing going on. Let's do this. Let's duplicate this symbol. Go the slow way again. Call this Fat Guy Body 3. So we'll raise up the pant back there, and then take this down. And let's swap it in for this one. Oops, no, 3. So let's see, go down like that, bump, bump. And maybe this one should just be one more, we'll duplicate one more time, we'll call this Fat Guy Body 4. And at this point, just do the line going straight across. And let's watch all these in sequence now. So let's see, down, this leg's coming up, so this part's starting to buckle upwards. Goes forward. This is that one that line that's a little bit more straight across. Then it comes forward like this. So it's kind of this little ocean wave effect going forward, and then back down like that. Well, let's see. Might want to leave it. Let's make it going forward again, still over here. And then, okay, there we go. Let's see how this looks. Okay, that's good. Check that out on your own. Fat Guy Progress 2, and I think we are ready to abandon this one. So I'm going to save this out as the finished file for Fat Guy, and when I return, I will have a new file open. Okay, I did actually speak a little bit too soon because there's one more thing I want to do in this finished file, and then we're going to open up this thin guy. It's just real quick. Take all of the frames that you created, so just select all of them like that, go to Copy Frames, and we are going to go to Insert, New Symbol. Alright, you can call this fat guy finished, something like that. Alright, and then right click on this first frame right here, just go to Paste Frames. Gonna come all in there like that, and just go back out here to Scene 1. You can now select all these layers, and then just hit the trash can, boom, they're gone. And let's go and create a new layer now. We'll just call this Walking. In fact, we could even select everything else out this way. Alright, and then just go to Remove Frames. All we need now is one frame. And we're just going to go open up the library. And let's grab this guy, fat guy walking. Boom. Put him on here. And now we have this nice self-contained movie clip with the entire sequence right in here. So if I were to go to Test Movie, it's just going to loop on through that. It's not going to stop after 12 frames. It's going to keep looping back through. That's what these movie clips do. And what else is good about this? It's nice for sizing purposes because now I could just grab the free transform tool and I can make the whole thing tiny like that. Put it over here, do whatever I want with it. I can make it big. And one thing I did do during the screen capture break was I went through and on all these all the layers with the parts that we made, I just went and I made them all into symbols, so you can see through here they're just now all symbols. They're in the library. I guess I didn't really have to do it, but again, it's just one of those kind of pet peeves of mine. I find it's more of a benefit in the end to just go ahead and do that. You're not going to add file size to it really, and there we go. So that guy is done. One down, many to go. Look at all these windows I have open here. What we want here is to open up Thin Guy's start file. So pop this guy open, and you can see right from the beginning that we're probably going to have a lot more to deal with in terms of animating this guy. He's got longer legs, so and he's got shoes too. That's another thing we got to deal with. Before we just, he had his like sock feet, and of course he's got these two arms sticking out, so we're going to have to animate both sides of him there, and hopefully we'll be able to speed through it and get it all in part 1. We'll find out if that ends up being true or not, but alright, let's do this. Let's go ahead and save this guy out as Thin Guy Progress 1, so go ahead and do it on your end, and I'll do it on my end. Alright, we got Progress 1 here, and let's talk about a little different approach that we're going to take to this guy. Last time through, we kind of went straight forward, although aside from the arm, which we did just wait to do to the end, but that was an easy one. It was straightforward. We just went from, in terms of the legs, just from frame 1 to frame 12, and muscled our way through that guy. Now with this one, I think a better approach is just going to be to set up our key poses, okay, and we'll do 4 of those, one of which you're looking at right now, and then the next one will be his middle position where his legs are kind of both, well, one leg is straight up and down like this, and then the other one's just kind of slightly bent, making its way to the other side. Then the second key pose, or I guess the third one actually, will be his opposite extreme, where this back leg is furthest out this way, and then his front leg is back this way. And then the fourth one will be his second kind of middle position of the legs. And what we'll do is we'll put 3 keyframes, or 3 frames between those main key points. So that should end us up with a 16 frame sequence, so it's going to be a little bit longer. Our last one was 12. And then other things to talk about right now will be just what this guy's going to be doing. He kind of looks like kind of a ticked off office employee, maybe storming through his office hallways. He's a tall guy, so he's taking big strides, and he's tall and thin, so he's kind of maybe got a little something to prove. He's got his arms kind of buckled out like that. like almost ready for a quick draw. And we don't necessarily have to do that on his the next time his arms are in that extreme position, but I think it's be kind of fun to start with it like that. And of course, obviously, he'll work his way back to that. But it should make for a fun animation. And again, these are just practice exercises, so we'll see where this takes us. First thing we're going to need to do, though, is separate a bunch of stuff on here. Let's set up the all the head to be in one symbol. I think that's again for this animation will be a good idea. So let's go and select all the head parts. Make sure you got them selected. You can always move them around to see if they are all there. And let's go to convert to symbol. Call this thin. All right. After you do that, go ahead and hit Q. It should make you go to the free transform tool. We'll just take this pivot point. We'll put it right there. Right about there should work. All right. Other things. You know what? It's not going to hurt us to go and adjust the pivot point on these things. Although I think for the most part, well, we'll see. I was about to say we'll probably just redraw some of these shapes, but I think this leg we can get away with just kind of rotating and skewing. The arms will probably be the big one that we end up changing each time. But let's see, feet, yeah, we can put that there. We can put this, all right, that's already there, so that's about set up. The tie, its pivot point is right there, and that'll be a fun one to move around because I can swing back and forth. It's got a silly little tiny tie. And what else? Body, I think we'll probably just have this go, for the most part, just go up and down, but we can consider rotating it some too. What else? Now that we've done that, let's go and put all the stuff onto layers of its own. Easy way to do that. If you're using Flash 7 or above, you can select everything or right click on it. Go to Distribute to Layers, and if you pull this down, see, we'll start running out of stage space soon, but that's okay. Oh, that actually made quite a few of them. Let's see if we can't combine a few here. Let's take the head and we'll take the tie and we'll put that back down on the same layer with the body. So I just cut them off of there, and I'm just going to go to paste in place so we can delete that off. Delete this off. Well, let's see. All right, the shoe is on a layer of its own. We'll need that. This back leg, that's good too. That is also good. Let's make sure the body is kind of in the middle of everything. All right, so for example, let's make sure that, yeah, that leg needs to be above. Let's put this foot right up here with that leg. And this arm, what did I do? Oh, put that back behind. Let's see, right there. Take this. Depending on how all your things were laid out to begin with the everything on its one layer. Sometimes distribute to layers is a good thing to do. Sometimes it's not. But I think actually we have everything set up right now. So that's there. Back leg. Let's go ahead and make sure we label these as best we can. We're gonna just scream out back leg. Put that all in caps. We'll put this as oops, back shoe. Because the more layers you get, it can get kind of confusing visually to see what's going on. Alright. That should be okay. As long as you know that the body is right there. So this is just our, there we go. Alright, now we're ready to begin. So let's go and select all the layers we got. And we're going to go on out here to frame 16. Just go to Insert Frame. And at frame 5 here. Let's put a big keyframe. Boom. Throw that in there. And again, like I was saying before, we're going to set up our key poses, and then between each one of those will be 3 frames that we just kind of put the in-between positions in there. Alright, so at this point, this leg will no longer be outstretched in front of him. It'll just be kind of probably straight up and down right here. All right, his weight is still going to be on this one leg, this front one right here, because this back leg is the one that is going to be moving. It's going to be bending forward to hit its top stride. So how's that help us? Well, it will. It's good because we'll know about how far up this guy's body is going to have to be, because certainly this leg isn't going to grow in size. So let's do this. Actually, I meant to do this earlier. I apologize, but I meant to throw a ground plane on here. So I'm going to do that. There we go. Just going to lock that up. So, like I was saying, if we were to put this shoe right here, all right, and then if we were to rotate this leg to about straight up and down, and then move the bell-bottom part right back along with the leg again, then we can see where this body needs to go up towards, okay? So, there we go. So that leg is still right, lined up, almost exactly where it should be with how it was before. Okay, we don't want to do anything that would just not make sense. Okay, for example, like if we moved that leg and made it also smaller at the same time. Okay, so we want to keep like the mass of things the same. As for this leg, we can we can at least move that up that way. We're going to rotate it a little bit, but I think in the end we just have to break this apart. Break it apart, and in fact, you know what we could do is just move it out of the way of that other leg while we put a bit of a bend onto this thing. I'm just going to lock or put snap to objects on. I got a little extra point there that I got to deal with. Okay, so let's throw this back over here. And let's just kind of scrub back between them. Let's see how this will look. Alright, probably okay. We'll need a new shoe for this point. So let's go ahead and delete that one off, and we'll draw a new one on here. I'm going to take the stroke of this line, though, up to 2. I think that's, oops, gonna look better. There we go. Alright. New shoe. We won't have to make too many of these, but we'll draw a couple of them on screen. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. You know what, I could probably get rid of the logo. I guess we've seen it enough for this one lesson. And I hope you guys actually kind of figured out with the last walk cycle that it doesn't really help you too much to overdraw certain things, because for the most part they're really only going to get seen very quickly. Like some of those funkier shapes that I made, the knee bending, I thought for a while, ooh, is this going to look weird? But then when you play it through, it's you hardly even see it for any time, you know. So let me take a snap off, and just going to make something like this. I don't want to make this foot too much different than its kind of flat position like that, but I just want to make a foot that's got a little bit of a bend to it. So we'll call this thin guy foot. By the way, I hit F8 there. That's my hotkey for converting something to a symbol. And let's rotate it a bit, like so. All right, see how that looks. I might actually take this whole thing and both of these, just bring them a bit forward. Okay, so we'll again, we're going to leave this as artwork because we'll probably just need to shift it again momentarily. But as for the arms, let's go ahead and break these apart too. I'm going to select both of them this time. Just going to break apart, and we are going to send this guy's arms forward. So let's do that. In fact, you know what, actually at this middle frame, this one arm will probably be so far back this way that we won't have to worry about seeing it. So we could just, well, we'll leave it on the layer, but we'll just kind of tuck it back this way. And then for the arm, we can just throw this back there. And for this one, let's go ahead and zoom in a little bit. I guess this whole layer right here should probably be above the that front leg. So let me do that. Let me push this up that way. Just drag it up there, and I'll keep the hand along with it. There we go. Alright, so again, the thing that you want to be sure of is that you're not changing the overall size of this thing. So he's not going to lose like 2 inches off his arm or grow a foot onto it. I mean, I guess the only time that would not be true, though, is if his arm was coming forward at you like a foreshortening type of deal. But in this case, no, that's just not happening. Alright. In fact, you know what? I think that's a little too forward for this point. Another nice little tool you can use is a subtool of the free transform tool, and so you got to select it first and then go over here to your envelope, and what that'll give you some handles. They can pull like this, and they'll make a nice little curve. See how that's going? All right, so let's just compare these two. All right, I think he lost a little bit of length on that arm. There we go. That feels a little bit better. Maybe even make it a tad wider. And there we go. Alright, so let's take the hand, we'll put that down there. And let's move on. You know what, I could move this whole thing back some, but I wanted him to feel like his whole front body is carrying him forward in this movement. Almost like some coworker has made him miffed off about something or other, and he's just going to yell at somebody. So over here at frame 9, okay, again, this is the next frame that would give us, or next key pose frame that would give us 3 frames between it. Alright, I want to keep those kind of even for now. And this one will be with the back leg jutting out this way, and then this leg being the furthest back over here. So let's go ahead and set that up. This leg, I think it's about time to break it apart. What I'm going to do is break it apart. I use the hotkey for that, but again, I'll show you one more time. It's right there. And I'm going to zoom in and just set that back a little bit there. Probably got to make this a little bit smaller because remember, got to keep it the same size. Let's send the body down. Probably actually this frame right here should match this frame right here, so I'm just going to paste that one. Alright, let's see how that's looking. Let's bend this leg. At this point, the this back part of his bell bottom should be coming up because we're going to use that leg, or that foot that is got the heel kind of coming off the ground. So let's go ahead and delete this off of here, and we'll go back here to frame 1 and just steal this same shoe, okay, and we'll just paste it right there. Alright, see how that's going. Looks good. And as for this back leg right here, we could probably grab this leg. I'm going to copy that one, and so just going to select all this, delete that off, go paste in place, but I'm going to have to move that a bit forward, and got to move that up. Let's take this shoe off now. We can go and steal this same shoe right here. And you know what? I have it on the wrong layer. Got to make sure I put it on this back shoe layer. And now for this one, let's go and we're just going to make this arm just swing forward. Alright, so I'm just going to go and do this. Like I was saying before, he's only on that one key pose in the beginning where he'll really be looking like he's ready for a fight. On this one, he's just kind of working his arms in a normal, fast walking fashion. This arm we'll send back out here, and let's do this for that back arm. Where do we have that? There we go, it's still on there. Let's go ahead and just, maybe we can make this easy. We'll flip this horizontally, all right, and then we'll just do something like this. Let's see. Move that over there. Okay. Maybe just rotate his hands a little bit this way. In fact, same thing over here. Let's rotate them up some. All right. Let's look at what we got so far. All right. So to this, and to this. He's going back down again, and then back over here on. Let's see. This will be 1, 2, 3. All right. So on frame 13. Let's go ahead and hit F6. All right, that's good. And let's get him going back into a middle type position again. So let's go ahead and take his body pose from right here. All right. We'll just paste that in place of the other one. And for this, let's make this leg right here. We're going to break it apart and then just send it back here. I'm just going to alter it just slightly. Otherwise, there's really no point breaking it apart. Okay. This foot will go along with it. Actually, you know what? How did that foot... Maybe at this frame, let's see. I don't know. Worry about that later. All I was thinking was maybe his foot should be up like that at that point, but we can do that on the frame right before it. So yeah, that just makes more sense. All right, so this one, let's go and we'll put this forward like this. Let's see. This is where it gets kind of tricky when you start bending the artwork around, and that's when you can possibly lose the overall mass of it, the correct one. Let's see. That looks about right though. All right, let's delete this off. Let's grab another shoe to throw on there. We'll use this one. Paste that on there. I'm just going to rotate it, squish it up some. Actually, I kind of like it like that. It almost feels like this one leg is a little bit lazier. And then the arms, we got to get them back to being in the middle again. Let's see if we can't just take this one arm right here and delete this off. We'll paste that in place. This time though, maybe let's even flip this horizontally. I got a hotkey for that. And this other arm, I'm going to flip that horizontally too. Put this right here. All right. Good enough. Let me zoom out a little. Well, no, you know what? I'm not going to zoom out. There we go. All right, so let's look at what we got. Boom, boom, boom. So it's going along here. You know what? We could even probably save this out as a progress 2 right now. We've got our key poses in here. We could even publish it, just kind of get a general idea of how this is going to be walking. Yeah, I think we can make it work. So, yeah, let's do that. Progress 2. Okay, or progress file number 2. I hope you guys saw from the progress1.swf that this is it's looking pretty good, even just in just 4 frames going across here. I feel like the timing is pretty good. So let's do this. Let's keep it going. I'm gonna actually take the properties window and just put it down here. I don't think you guys really need to see it, and that'll give us a bit more room to just view all the layers and keep this at a 100%, a little bit better working size. Alright, so now what we're going to do, and this is my game plan, is the frames after this guy lands his foot down. So, and this will be 2 places because it's, obviously this occurs twice. He's got 2 feet, so this one and this one. What we're going to do is just slightly move the current positions off from what they are. So it's almost like this is a little bit of a pause here, but I don't want to call it a real pause because there's still some movement happening, but it's just some setting down of it, almost just like, you can think of it almost like it's easing out of the position that it was in, okay? And of course the positions prior to him hitting down with his feet, which would be like, for example, let's see, well, it's hard to tell, but the frame right before this one, his foot would be up in the air. So we'll add a little bit of anticipation there too. So so what we're going to do is actually just go and do frame 2 here, and then we will do frame 10. All right, because they're going to be kind of similar. Okay, so put a keyframe on all these layers. Hit F6, and what I'm going to do is just slightly move this out this way. Slightly move this one out here. Alright. In fact, you know what? I could take both legs, I'm going to select them together and use the free transform, just bump them slightly down like that. I'm going to take the body with it. Alright. And same deal with the arms. Just going to select the hand and the arm. So just moving them out like so. Okay. And it should look something like this. So it's not much movement at all, but we don't really want to stop this guy moving entirely, because if we were going to have this as like kind of an infinite loop with a background behind it, there's going to be stuff kind of like constantly kind of, going from left or right to left, right to left, right to left. And it'll look weird if there is any really big pause in there. And in fact, looking at these two, I might want to put a little bit more movement out here. All right. Okay, so let's do the same thing over on this end. So let's hit F6 right here. And again, by the end of this, we will make all these into symbols. But for right now, it still just helps us to keep them as artwork, because I could make like a little slight adjustment here, like so. Something like that, just to change it up a little bit. Oops, didn't mean to do that though. So let's pull this one out. Go like this. And do the same thing I did last time, just, oh man. There we go. Just pull them down a little bit. And then I can grab all this other good stuff. Move that down. Make this arm swing out a little bit. By the way, you can temporarily alter the pivot point of just vector artwork. I'm not sure if you guys all caught me doing that, but then as soon as I select it again, you can see that it is back in the middle. Okay. All right, so let's look at this. Okay, so just falling down like that, and that means too that there's only going to be 2 frames of him getting from this pose back to this pose again. So that helps us a little bit, because those are kind of the harder poses or in between poses to do. So what else can we do here? One more thing. Let's go and put in the frames before him dropping down, like right here. And actually we'll have to go over and do it on this side too, because remember, it loops back to frame 1. So and those are easy poses to get to as well, because for example, let's go and just copy all these frames. Okay, copy frames, and then we will select all these frames right here, paste frames. And then let's go and oops, move them up like this. I didn't get that arm. It's okay. This leg, let's break this one apart, and actually first we could move it up just a little bit, break it apart, and for this shoe we're not going to have it in this position where the heel is coming off it. So let's go and just, we can take this same shoe, let's make sure we put it back on the correct layer though, and so that will be probably right about there. And let's look at how this position compares to the frame right after it, which is going back to frame 1. So it's falling down. Okay, so it's like this. I think that'll work. Okay, and for the arms though, what I'm going to do is break each one of these apart, alright, and just bring them out to probably, let's see, right about here, because this is where I want his arms to just kind of snap into that I don't know what to call that position where they're both making this horseshoe shape. So it's almost like this guy's got a very normal walk cycle until he goes and gets all huffy like that. At least that's what we want it to kind of look like. And I was actually walking around the house trying to make myself do that. And it does kind of make sense actually in a way that like you kind of flare out your arms at one point and then and then your neck you're midway through into the other way that you kind of don't want to do that again. Otherwise you sit there and make like a chicken walk. So alright, so let's see. Boom, yeah. Alright, so I think that's good. So it's like he's got this, this moment where he's like right ready to come down. He's still kind of normal. Then flares it out. Let's do this. I'm going to actually break apart this leg just so I can move up this bottom part of the bell bottom to just kind of be right up in there with that leg. Okay, so and let's do this. I think we can even get away with copying all these frames. So we're just going to go copy frames and select all these other ones right here. Go to paste frames. And I think we can get away with just kind of backtracking from frame 16 over here and just making some slight adjustments to frame 15. Because this is another one of those times where I want to make like a long anticipation toward that drop downwards. This time though, let's bend the leg a little bit. Otherwise we would start to kind of, lose the length of it. This leg, of course, will go back this way a little bit. And remember too that because this is the leg on the ground, it's got all the weight on it. All right. So it's going to be a lot stiffer than this other leg because this is the one that can actually really bend the knee. All right. And let's do this. Let's pull that down just a tad bit. His arms, we don't have to change too much. We could probably just scale them down and then move them this way a little bit and then just take a bit of the bend off of them. Get that hand over there with it. Oh, you know what though? One thing I did forget to do was forgot to take the body down some. Actually, which direction am I going with this? Alright, so he goes down at this frame. So he's, let's see. Okay, just got to move it up a little bit. Because remember, in this animation here, what we have going on is these points, this one and this one, are his two highest points. So even when he's walking forward like this, he's still coming down a little bit. He gets to this point where his legs are the furthest out they can be, but he's still kind of descending down with that. And then he does make a little bit of a drop there. Okay, so it's not a huge drop from all these frames forward until you get to right here and his foot actually hits the ground. Alright. And what I'm doing right here is just comparing what we got to do to fill in from frame 13 to frame 15 here. So we got to make a pretty big movement with this leg, but if you take a look at this leg, let's see, it's not going that far. Alright. So let's go ahead and just key these things in here. I tell you, this is actually usually how I work when I'm doing a cycle like this. I'll put in my 4 main positions and then just kind of work out between what I got to do. So let's see. Body, it's going down, down, down. Alright. There you go. Tap it up one more right there. And alright, so I know this leg doesn't have to go too far, so I'm just going to move this back that way a little bit. Move the shoe right along with it. Let me make sure. Let's see. Alright, so I got kind of a big change just in the appearance of the pants. Not so much the position, because notice how I have the cuff kind of coming up a little bit there. So what I'll do is I'll just bring this up some. So that way it's a little bit more of a smoother transition going from this frame here. Bump, bump, bump. And you know, too, one slight little problem I got is trying to keep this foot flat on this one top line right here. So I might actually need to just pull all this up a little bit. That's something people could probably easily see wrong with your animation, is that the foot would be sliding up and down like that. And I think what I want to do is on this one frame right here, as I'm just toggling back and forth, I'm seeing that it'd just be a little bit better if I moved it back some this way. I think if you watch now, if I start back over here, just watch this back leg. Now it's got kind of a consistent distance between each frame. That's another thing you kind of want to look for. Alright, so what do I got to do here with these arms? Alright, I'm starting with this arm, and it's got to go to this position. Alright, that's not going to be too tough. Let's squish it up a little bit this way. Of course, if I'm going to squish it, I got to bend it a little bit. Move the hand up with it. Probably going to rotate it some. And let's see. Just keep your eye on that hand. So I go back and forth, back and forth. Alright, I think that's going to work. It is a little long right there, but we'll see. Might be able to get away with it. Or, you know what? Let's just make it a little bit smaller. At this point, there's no point. It's easy to change, you know. And actually, same right here. I'm looking at this line. I think it's going to be best if I pull this down just a little bit as I go through here. Got that? In fact, I even think this whole arm could go up some. That's probably something I should try to keep an eye on too throughout these other frames in here, just so I, you know, get it right. All right, so let's worry about this arm right here. All right, so it's this is my key position, and I want to get it somewhere between that. Okay, so that shouldn't be too difficult. In fact, you know what? What I'm going to do is just take this frame right here, copy it, and paste it right there, and then just move it down like that. Let's see. That's actually got kind of a nice turn to it. Look how it's like straight right here, and then it's puffing out like that, and there we go. Alright, so I think that could work out well. And now all we have to do is deal with this one leg right here. That's kind of a weird looking shoe. What did I do there? Let's move it out some. Oh, wait. Yeah, now I know why it's so weird looking. Alright, let's adjust this leg. And probably I can just get away with skewing it out a little bit this way and then rotating it. Let's see if it'll... Alright, we'll do that, but we will adjust the shape of it some as well. And this guy is wearing pants, so it's okay if there's a little bit of shifting in the shape of it, but we don't want it to be too drastic. Alright, so let's look at this. We're starting right here and going forward, and it'll end up over this way. Alright, I think that's good. Alright, let's go and fill in these two frames over here. And actually, now that I'm looking at this, I think what I probably should do is after this first frame, when it comes down like this a little bit, I should probably keep this leg moving back this direction, just so we get a good circular effect, because as this thing plays through, it should just look like these legs are kind of just circling like this. And I'm afraid that if I break from that, if I have this one leg kind of slide out that way, that could look kind of weird. So let's just move it in some. There we go. Okay, so what are we doing here? We are going from this position to this one. Alright, so this leg's not going back too far. It's just sliding backwards. So let's go and do that. I guess first though we should make the body start to go up. So let's go and select all this good stuff. Just bump it up a little bit. Alright, we'll take the leg, move that up some. Let's have this go back to maybe about here. Take this foot with it. And let's see. I think I already kind of learned my lesson with making these arms go down a bit too much. Let's do this. I'm going to cut off this arm right here and grab this other straight one right there. Alright, so looking at this arm right here, and gotta get it looking like this one. Let's see if there's an arm I can already steal. How about this? No point in redrawing or reshaping something twice, is there? Put that right there, and we'll just move it out a little bit more. Okay, probably alright. This arm right here is going to start to sink back behind this body, so I'm just going to break it apart and just quickly shape it a little bit, like so. Let's just move it like that. And then the biggest thing moving here is, of course, going to be this leg, which actually is going to start to bend and move forward. So I'm going to break that apart, and let's see. I guess what I'll just do is let me move it kind of out from there, and easier to grab at it that way. Might even want to just select half of it like this, and then just rotate that. Do something like so. You can always turn on the snap tool and then just snap that together afterwards. Sometimes it works good, sometimes it doesn't, but I think that's good enough. Let me see if that leg is right. Okay, that should probably be okay. I'm going to bring it up a little bit this way. Close that gap right there. Got a little bit of crud over on that side. And let me just bring it down just a tad bit. And I think what I might do is keep this foot a little bit bent. I kind of like a little bit of a delay right there. I think that's a nice little effect. So let me just do this. I'm going to actually duplicate this symbol. So I got a new one in the library. Just call it 3. And I'm going to double click in here. And what I'm going to do is just pull this point down. Bring this back this way. Do something like that. Just so we get a little delay on that. Alright. You can see. Might have to go and push it forward a little bit. Let's see. Alright, bump, bump. Yeah, I think that's good. Okay, so one more frame here. Hitting F6, and what do we gotta do? We gotta make this go to this. So let's see. First thing will be the body. Let's move all this up a little bit. Just kind of thumbing back and forth through these, making sure it's looking good. Alright. Gonna move the leg up some. Gonna bring it back this way. I might break this apart and just reshape some of the pant a little bit. Move the foot over there. I'm gonna go and see how that's. I could probably move it a bit more. And I'm looking at the bottom pant leg right here. I might want to bring this down. Okay. I think that's nice. And we got to get this back leg right here a little bit closer to this position. So let's do this. Let's just move this whole thing. We'll move it up. Alright. Oops. Okay, let's delete that foot off. I'm going to copy this foot position right back here and paste it onto this frame. I'm just going to move it like that. Let's see. That's a tough call. I think I'm just going to pray that looks alright. And let's see. Well, let's move this up a little bit too. Yeah. Can overthink it. We'll just see how it looks later. All right, let's get this arm a little bit more toward this position. So what we'll do is just move this down some. Move that like so. All right, that should be okay. This is an easy one. Just going to move that right like so. Get that over there. And again, let's just take one, let's eyeball right in this area. Let's see, is that looking okay? I think this could be moved in just a little bit there. And actually this whole arm could probably come up a little bit. Okay, let's do this. Let's call this progress 3. Save it out. Okay, progress 3. And you know, before I forget, let me also correct what I was talking about earlier on this one leg. I don't want that slipping forward. I want to want to keep it moving kind of circular, just going like that. All right, so that's that frame right after that one. All right, and what should we do here? Well, I guess we'll just continue going from where we left off. That's the nice thing about doing these keep poses, though. You can kind of jump around a little bit because you know you just got to get from one in between to the next. All right, so let's move this arm. Oh, actually, you know what? Let's move the body first. Always a good idea. All right, so the body is going from this point to this point, so it is going down. We are in our high point right here, so let's just nudge it down a little bit with the directional arrows. This arm, take it down a little bit. It's going to rotate it and bend it slightly. This leg right here, I'm going to break it apart, send it back. Probably going to give it a little bit of a little bit more curve on it, just so it's not so stiff. Even though, keep in mind though that that is the leg with the weight on it, so we can't really bend it too much. Well, I guess you could. Alright, that's going back with it. This leg right here, let's bring this forward, like so. Oh, I can't seem to grab anything. What's going on? Alright. And let's see, I still think that the we're not going to see that back arm for a little bit, but let's is it still there? All right, it's still there. Maybe we could show a little bit of it coming through there. As for the hand, let's just move it right back there. And what else? Did we get this one? I think we did. All right, so one more keyframe. F6. Let's do the body. Move that down a little bit. Let's push this leg back some. Let me see where this leg is ultimately going. It is going not too much further than it's already at. So let's ease it up just a little bit. Send it back there some. Looks like my big difference between this leg right here and this one isn't going to be so much the position, but the what the pant is doing. Alright, but we can take this down a little bit. Let's go ahead and start to bring out this leg, straighten it out this way, so we'll have a lot of kind of anticipation of it falling into this pose right here. So let's do this. Pull this out. You know what? I'm just going to crisscross these and just delete out what it decides to leave out that way. You know what? Let me grab this straight foot right here. Just take that off. Pop that right there. Oops, didn't mean to do that though. Okay, and got to deal with this arm. Just going to rotate that out. Let's move this a little bit. It's going out that way. Let's deal with the back arm. It's that guy right there. Okay, that should be all right. Alright, so it's moving forward. think this one position right here is actually these two positions. This arm does kind of get really long at one point, but we'll just go with it. I guess actually I could fix it by pulling this down a little bit. Let's see. We'll deal with it later. All right. Hit F6 over this way. This leg right here has got to look like that in a second. So let's do this actually. Let's just go and copy this. We'll paste it in place of this one. So I just deleted that off, and then I'm just going to put that down there. And I'm just going to move this now a little bit forward like that. And this body does need to come down a little bit. Not much though. That foot will go back some. And let's see, this leg has got to end up. Alright, so it's going to come down in that next frame. So what we'll do here is push it really far out. Just kind of trying to get a feel for this. Alright, I think that's okay. This leg gets a little thin. Let's give him a little bit more weight out that way. There we go. Alright, it should probably work. Okay, just 2 more frames to go. Let's see, let's go ahead and get those in. Okay, so he is at one of his lowest points right here, so let's put some keyframes in this way, and the first thing we'll do is make his body start to go back up some. And let's see, we're getting to this frame, and he's pretty stiff on both of his arms there, so let's go and we'll keep that going. Let's just straighten out this arm. As we straighten it, we gotta shrink it up a little bit. It's not too easy, is it? There we go. I'm just going to cut that one off. I'm just going to grab this arm artwork and just put that back there. That looks kind of funky, but I think that could be sort of good for the animation. So it's like, it gets really stiff at one point. And as for this, let's see, let's take this, oops, nope, don't want to do that. Let's grab this leg and just distort it a little bit. And this is our leg that is going to be bending through here. And you know, we've made a few bent legs, so let's see if we can grab another one that we've already made. Let's take this one right here, so I'm going to copy that, jump back over to this point. Just delete this out. I'm going to paste this, and let's see if we can use it. Scale it up a little bit. Yeah, that should be pretty good. And as for this foot, let's delete that off of here, and let's go grab that other foot I made for that leg's position. So I'll put that right there. Let's see how that looks. Okay, pretty good. And are we done with this frame? I think maybe we are. Actually, let's make this one foot just move up just a tad. All right. And you know what? I put this shoe on the wrong frame. Let me go and make sure it's right there. Okay. All right. Looks like last frame. Here we go. Just can't lose track of the one that we're working on. Okay, so this has got to make its way into this next frame, and that's not too tough. Let's go and start with the body. Move that up. Let's see. Okay, that'll probably be good. Let's keep this leg going back this way. All right, that should also be okay. As for this leg, let's go and just move it over there. Let's see. Position-wise, it's probably good, but let's just adjust the pants a little bit. In fact, you know what? Let's move it back just a little bit. Okay, maybe we can get away with making him drag this foot a little bit. Like that. See how that's going? I just want to squish this oh, not that much. Okay, and as for the arms, let's just take this one. Actually, you know what? Let's delete that one off, and what we'll use is this frame right here. Copy it, paste it, and then we'll just move it out. And this is an easy one. Just move it right over here. All right, some really quick stuff that we can do. Let's do this. Let's make the tie go up a little bit at this extreme point here. Okay, so bump up like that. Let's keep it up for a little bit, and then it can make its way back down. All right, so let's do that same thing right at this other extreme point. Pop it up like that. And in fact, the frame before it, what you could also do is just maybe nudge it this direction. And keep it up momentarily. Boom. Let it ease back in. Alright. And other things, actually, these extreme up and downs, what you could do is you could even break apart the head right here and then just nudge the nose up a little bit. I think someone might actually catch that. This guy does look kind of snooty, doesn't he? So put the nose up. If you're going to do that, just do a little counter animation right here as well. So make it go back down a little bit on the frame right afterwards. And let's see. Alright, I'm going to publish this, and I think you should take a look too. And actually, when I come back, what I'll do is I'll have this saved out as the final file for this. Okay, I'm not sure if you guys noticed, I hope you did, that the finished version of this is looking pretty good. I like how it turned out. And just to finish this all off, what I'm going to do is copy all these frames and create a new symbol up here. We'll call this thin guy walking cycle. How about that? And then as soon as we get in here, just paste the frames. Let's go back up here to scene 1. What I'm going to do is delete all these off, all these layers. In fact, let's get rid of this too. And then we're going to just drag out from the library thin guy walking. We'll put him right here. And if we publish, he is good to go. Look at that guy. Moving along. What else do I have to say about this? I don't think much. I think it's time to move on to part 2. Oh, no, there is one thing. I'm not going to go through and on all these ones where it's just artwork still left there. And I'm not going to make them symbols because in most of these cases they're just we're just using them once anyway, so it's really not going to be an advantage to in this case go through and make every one of them a symbol. Although if I was going to reuse them later on in some other part of the animation, then yeah, maybe it would be beneficial. But if it's just getting used once, I think it's okay. All right, so looking pretty good. Let's close this down, and I will see you in part 2.